Today's lesson is going to be lesson 2.1, which has to deal with multiplying fractions. Okay, our learning target for today is I can multiply fractions. Over here in the key idea, it's going to describe how we multiply fractions using the algorithm, okay, or just using the numbers. So multiplying fractions is actually pretty simple. All you do is multiply the numerators. Those numerators, remember, are the top numbers in a fraction. Multiply the numerators. So if your numerator is 3 and your numerator is 1, you multiply 3 times 1. Okay. Then you also multiply the denominators. Those denominators are the bottom numbers. Okay, so in our example, the denominators are 7 and 2, so we do 7 times 2. Okay, when we simplify that, 3 times 1 is 3, 7 times 2 is 14. We get an answer of 3/14. That's really all we do to multiply fractions. However, we also need to know how to multiply that with the model. Now, this is something that you might be familiar with from 5th grade. However, we're going to use like that area model. Okay. So if my first fraction is 3/7, I'm going to cut this area into sevenths. And I'm going to use vertical lines. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces. All right. Now we only have 3 of those 7s, so I'm going to color those in. Well, you don't have to use different colors, but if you have different colors, you might want to pause the video, get them out, because it is more helpful to see it in color. Okay. Our second fraction is 1/2. So now horizontally, we are going to cut this whole entire area model in half. Okay, and we only have 1 of those halves. So I'm going to just choose the top one. All right. Now our answer is going to be the pieces that are overlapped in green and yellow. All right, so here we have 1 piece that's overlapped, 2 pieces that are overlapped, and 3 pieces that are overlapped. So our numerator is going to be 3. Okay. Our denominator is going to be how many pieces we have total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So here we see that 3/7 times 1/2 is 3/14. And we saw that using math, and we saw it using a model. All right, so since using the model is a 5th grade standard, I just wanted you to kind of refresh it in your brains, but we are not going to have to do that. For each problem, we are just going to use the math part, okay? When we have fractions that are written with those little slant signs, I like to always rewrite them. So this first example is 1/3 times 1/5. Remember, we can always think of a multiplication sign as the word of, okay? So right now, we're going to find 1/3 of 1/5. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite that with those nice horizontal fraction markers. All right, next thing I do is just multiply my numerators. 1 times 1. That is going to be equal to 1. Then I multiply my denominators. 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So I get a final answer of 1/15. All right, same thing for this next example. We're going to solve this 2 different ways. Sorry about that. We're going to solve this 2 different ways. Okay, the first way, we're going to solve it just like we did above. Okay, so we have 8/9 times 3/4. Here we are finding 8/9 of 3/4. Okay, so we multiply our numerators, 8 times 3. Then multiply our denominators, 9 times 4. 8 times 3 is 24. 9 times 4, 36. All right, here we have a fraction that needs to be simplified. Both of these numbers can be divided by 12. Now, if you didn't go to knowing that they could both be divided by 12, you could divide by 2, and divide by 2 again, and divide by 2, okay, and keep going divided by 2 until you would get one that didn't work. But anyways, we're going to get 2/3. Okay, and that's our answer. Now I'm going to show you another method. This is a method that you don't have to use, but it might be easier for some of you. Okay, it's called cross simplifying. So if I have 8/9 and I'm multiplying it by 3/4, I can cross simplify these numbers. What that means, okay, 8 and 4 both have a factor of 4, meaning that if I had the fraction 8/4, I could simplify that, okay? So here I have 8 and 4. They can both be divided by 4 because they both have a factor of 4. So 4 divided by 4 is going to give me 1. 8 divided by 4 is going to give me 2. Now you can only cross simplify with numbers that are diagonal. Okay, so I couldn't simplify this 3 and this 4 because they're not diagonal from each other. All right, my other diagonal is 3 and 9. Now I can simplify both of those because they both have a factor of 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 2. All right, when we go back to multiplying now, we have 2 times 1 for our numerators, and 2 times 1, oh sorry, this is not a 2. This is a 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, not 2. Caught by mistake. So I'm going to take 3 times 1 down here. Okay. For my numerator, I got 2 times 1, which is 2. Denominator, 3 times 1, which is 3. Notice how we both get the same answer. It's just when we're simplifying. Either we're simplifying first or we're simplifying later. Now, I'm never going to tell you what method to use. You just have to choose what's easiest for you. If this made no sense to you, that is okay. You can solve it this way. All right? All right. What I'd like you to do now is pause the video, and I want you to try these next 2 problems on your own. Okay, then I want you to resume the video to check your work. All right. So here we have 1/2 times 5/6. So I'm going to take 1/2 of 5/6. So I'm going to take 1 times 5 and 2 times 6. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 6 is 12. 5 and 12 do not have any common factors, so that is our final answer. All right, my next problem, 7/8 times 1/4. So I'm going to take my numerators, 7 times 1, 8 times 4. I'm going to get 7/32. Again, 7 and 32 do not have any common factors, so it can't be simplified. That's just our answer. All right, this next part is where it gets kind of tricky. When we have those mixed numbers. Mixed number is a number that has a fraction and a whole number. Okay, so it has a fraction and a whole number, just like 2 and 3/4. It has a whole number of 2 and a fraction of 3/4. All right. Now, unlike when we add fractions, because when you add fractions, you can just keep that whole number there. Unlike when we do that, we have to make it improper. Okay, so how we do that, how to make a mixed number improper, we are going to follow the steps MAD. Okay, that M stands for multiply. So we are going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. All right, so what that's going to look like, for 2 and 3/4 is multiplying that whole number 2 by the denominator 4. Okay, and 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Okay. Then I'm going to take that 8 and I'm going to add that to the numerator in that fraction. Okay, so for example, in this 2 and 3/4, I did 2 times 4, which is 8, and I'm going to add 8 to that numerator, which is 3. So this is going to be 8 plus 3. Okay, that is equal to 11. This is the new numerator. Okay. What I mean by that is that this is going to be the numerator in your improper fraction. Okay. Last but not least, we have that D. The denominator stays the same. So that bottom number stays the same. Okay. That bottom number and that 2 3/4 is 4. Okay. So we have 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 3, which is 11. This becomes 11. Bottom number stays the same, fourths. Okay, then we have times 1/2. We then multiply just as normal. So we take 11 times 1, which equals 11. We put that over 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay. Last step. Now we can't leave a fraction like this because our top number is bigger than the bottom number. So our answer has to be put back into a mixed number. All right. When we do that, we say, how many times can 8 go into 11? Well, 8 can go into 11 one whole time. Okay, and when we put those 8 into 11, how many do we have left over? We have, 3/8. Okay, so we're basically just dividing 11 by 8. All right, so if we wanted to use that long division, we could. How many times can 8 go into 1? 0 times. How many times can 8 go into 11? Once. And we see how many is left over. 3. We now have our 3 important numbers. Okay, so we would write this answer as 1 3/8. Okay, so if you can't do it mentally, you can always do long division to help you out. That is our answer here. All right, for this next example, I'm going to do each mixed number in a different color. So I'm going to start with 1 4/5, and I'm going to do that in purple. Okay, my M tells me to multiply the whole number, which is 1, by the denominator, which is 5. Okay, so 1 times 5, well, that's 5. Okay, then my A tells me to add that to the numerator. So now I have 5 plus 4. That's going to give me 9 as my new numerator. Okay, my denominator stays the same, so since my denominator is 5, stays 5. 9/5 times. M tells us to multiply a whole number times the denominator. 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay. Then my A tells me to add that to the numerator, so I have 9 plus 2. Well, 9 plus 2 is 11. That becomes my new numerator. Denominator stays the same, 11/3. Last step is to multiply. 9 times 11 is 99. 5 times 3, 15. All right, again here, we have to simplify. This fraction bar, remember, is division. So if we don't know how many times 15 can go into 99, we can do our long division. Okay, 15 can't go into 9, so now we have to kind of guess and check to see how many times it goes into 99. So we are going to, I'm just going to guess 15 times 6. Okay, 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. Can I put another 15 in there? Nope, because then I'll be at 105. That's too big. All right, so I can go in there 6 times, which is 90. See what's left over, and it's 9. I now have my 3 important numbers. All right, this is going to be equal to 6 and 9 15ths. But what do I know about that 9 and 15? They both have a common factor of 3, meaning they both can be divided by 3. Keep our whole number the same. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Final answer, 6 3/5. That is all for our notes today. Okay, so what I want you to do is just like above, I want you to pause the video, try these next problems on your own, and then I want you to resume that video to check your work. Okay, so once you try them on your own, it's okay to make mistakes. Then watch the video and have it explain it to you. All right, so for this first one, we have a fraction and a mixed number. Okay, so I don't have to do anything with the 1/3. I can keep 1/3 the same. I'm going to replace that x with a dot because we don't like to use those x's. Okay, then I need to make this mixed number improper. Okay, so I follow my MAD. I multiply my whole number in my denominator. 1 times 6, that's 6. Okay, then I have my A. I add that 6 to my numerator. 6 plus 1 is 7. This becomes my new numerator. Okay. Last but not least, that D denominator stays the same. 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 6, 18. 7 and 18 do not have any common factors, meaning it cannot be simplified. All right, last one. Again, we have 4/9, which is not a mixed number, so we can just keep it 4/9. And we have to make 3.5 into a mixed number. Okay, so I take 3 times 2, which is 6, that's my M. And then I add that numerator, which is 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. Last but not least, I keep my denominator the same, which is 2. All right. When I multiply that out, I have 7 times 4 is 28. 2 times 9 is 18. One thing I'm going to notice is they are both even, so I'm going to simplify that right away by dividing them by 2. I will get 14 over 9. Now my answer is improper. Okay, when my number on top is bigger than my number on bottom, I have to make it back into a mixed number. Okay, so I ask myself, how many times can 9 go into 14? Or you can do the long division. 9 can't go into 1. How many times can 9 go into 14? Once, because 2 times would be 18, that's too much. Then we subtract to see what's left over, and that's going to be 5. These 3 important numbers are going to help me write my answer, which is 1. My remainder goes on top, and 5/9. That's my final answer for number 7. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to go back and rewind the video, rewatch any parts that you need clarification on, or you can go to writing your summary down at the bottom.